Okay folks, how y'all doing today? We are back in Büdingen, and today I'm just going to go to the old part of the city and show you the homes there. This is the street that runs into the old part of the city, and you can see in the distance there are some of the older buildings. We've got to go through the Jerusalem gate again to get into there. Okay, let's go have a look at the first ones. Okay, here we have an old hotel and restaurant. I have no idea if this place is still open, but I do know that this used to be the postal station, the post office, back in 1733. Okay, this section here was another gatehouse. It was called the Ultra Forte. There used to be a tower here, and this was from the 1400s all the way up to 1829. So a lot of these buildings are either lived in, or such as this one, there's a business downstairs and people live upstairs. And we're going to head up that street first. I do not have a date on this water supply, but I do know it's been here for quite a while. They just fixed it up with 3 frogs. Looking for carvings on the home. Sometimes they actually have the date on there when these places were built. Here's a cafe and a good restaurant. It's usually full. Okay, now this is probably the most important building in Büdingen. It's the local Irish pub run by a Greek fellow by the name of Costa. He's good people. I've known him for years. Okay, this one actually looks like it has a business or a closed business in it, something that's no longer functioning. I don't know, but for some reason or another I get the impression that this house is trying to lean to one side. Looks like it used to be an old cafe. There's a couple of little small houses. And look at what I just found here. I'm going to have to stop back by and see if this thing is for sale or not. It's got all flat tires on it. I have no idea, but I see a gas cans in the back. Mirrors are on there. Lights are on there. The running lights for when you go on blackout. Guess I'm going to have to stop back by here and check this out later. So here we have a small house from 1610. I see he's up there. And this is the little corner house here. Okay, let's wait till this young lady walks past us. Let's continue on up the street here. So now I'm on record. Look at this one. I do not know if this one's lived in or not. Okay, here's a house from 1610. That's the corner house here. You got 2 roads meeting. I wonder if this one's lived in. Well, there is a mail slot there. Now, this whole complex here is called the Oberhof. We'll be going into that in a few minutes. Okay, here's 4 little houses. There's a nice little thing carved in sandstone. I guess that's a lion's head on there. A couple of coat of arms. Okay, here we have a sauna. Well, that's what they've got in this building if it's still open. Okay, this is the first part of what we call the Oberhof. And this is, somebody lives in here. Or I think there's 2 apartments here. Or maybe even 3. You can see where part of the wall used to run out this way. And all this area down here we'll be walking through in a few minutes. See here along this wall, the battlements, where they can shoot the arrows out of, and then later the flintlock rifles, or whatever they were using. This is another part of the Oberhof, but I don't really think I'm going to be able to get into this building. Okay, here you see the palace grounds. There's a lot out there. And we're going to go walking through as much of that as we can, but it's not going to be very much, unfortunately. There's the church. We were there last week. Okay, we are now in the Oberhof, and this area was built in 1569, they say. See, there's a museum here. Now you see the carvings in the sandstones. There's some more over here. Here, this big building here where we can't get in, I see there used to be some kind of mural or something on the wall there. And this is called the mayor's chair, the Bürgermeisterstuhl. I'll give you a shot of it from the other side in just a second. There we go. Did a photo shooting with my sugar baby here once. And we're also going to do the story about the princes and the frogs. And it's a friend of mine. Her English is perfect, and we'll be doing that. Probably some 90% here on this chair. I'll show you a little bit more here about the Oberhof. Not really that much to see anymore. There are apartments, and businesses, a kindergarten in here. A little bit of everything. Okay, this section here looks like it's been divided up into 3 little apartments. So here's the old doors coming into the Oberhof. This is where you could drive in here, or bring your wagons, horse-drawn wagons or buggies in here. That's the door that you would walk through. And I always tell you about how these things are hooked in here with the beams. And then these little items up here. That's what the beams go into, and the door just swings on those. There's this side. Here we're on the outside of it now. This would have been at one time the main entrance. And I see they got stands built back there, so they must be going to have some concerts this summer here. So this house was built in 1617. Oh, it's a nice one, but I don't see a date on it anywhere. Looks like it's divided up into 3 apartments. This is the street we're going to walk down next. The building. No idea when this one was built. I don't see any dates or anything anywhere. And they are full of little side streets here with all these old homes. I was just walking down one street and saw a bunch of them out of the early to mid 1600s, but there was just too many people standing around. Okay. Okay, we are now back in the Oberhof. I think I showed you this section here before, but every other year they have a medieval market here. And this was our corner. My stand would be there, and I was selling mead and historical spiced wines. Some of the recipes we had were 5,000 or 6,000 years old. Here we had a tavern that went really good. They'd have to deliver every morning here for more products for people to drink, and they love that. They got this stuff called beer with cherry juice in it. It's called Kirsch beer, cherry beer. I can't stand it, but a lot of people like it. And this little section here behind the shrubs is where the hotel was put in at. Yep, we had about 6 to 8 tents back there, and the people would pay $30 a night to sleep on straw sacks. So they could have something to drink. They didn't have to worry about driving home and getting caught by the cops, or maybe losing their licenses. Okay, that building over there is actually a cafe, bar, maybe even a bit of a restaurant. Here's a museum for the 1950s. And this is the Marktplatz. This is where they would have the market at once a week. Well, actually they have it now once a week. Okay, here we have one of the 3 town wells. And this one was built in 1728. Or 1754. I see 2 different dates on it up there. That looks like it's a lion. Yeah, that's a lion, all right. They say don't drink the water. But if it was an emergency, the zombie apocalypse, I guess you would probably not have a problem with drinking it. So there we go. Let's get this side of it. Now this 1950s museum used to be a bar and restaurant called the Swan, and that was in 1490. And then here we have a carving. So this is the main road going through the old part of town. And I'm just show you a few here, and then we're going to cut in on all the little side streets also. There's a little couple of houses in the first side street. Here's a nice one in gray and red trim. This one seems to be divided up into 2 apartments, but it was one complete house at one time. Here we have another one in stone, and then the gingerbread trim upstairs. This looks nice going into here. So here we have a little bronze relief of the city. See, all this section we've already been through. I've walked through a portion of this area here, and this is all I'm going to go back in through in the next hour or two with y'all. All the way back to the palace, way back there in the back, but the main part we won't be able to get into because that's private quarters. The prince still lives there. Just walking down the main street here now. There's a good little Turkish restaurant. I've eaten there several times. There's a place for waffles, another one that's boarded up, several other restaurants. Here you can get, I know they say it's not drinking water, but in an emergency, anything that's wet will help you live is okay. And this is built in 1495. It was put in here. Like I said, they have waffles. Don't know what that one's about. It's a little restaurant or bar. There's a hotel down here. Now I just walked down into a back alley here in the building. Found this one, haven't seen that one before. A little bit of the old wall. Here's some carving at the restaurant. There's another lion's head. Here we got a building being renovated. So this big stone house and what's ever behind those gates was built in 1511. I imagine if you had a couple of million, you could take it, re-renovate it, and turn it into a couple of apartments. But it would cost a lot of money. See all the carvings there? Here we have another gate. This one was built in 1350. And you see there where the beams would fit in there for the floors. And it was like 3 floors high. See the side of that stone building? Waiting on the cars to go by. You see there some stuff has been blocked up. I think that's part of the old butcher complex that they used to have here. But I'm not really sure about that. Okay, let's go down this street now and see what we can see here. Couple of gates. What do we call this? The Burgmannenhof. I think I was in here the other day. I showed you all a couple of things about it. So we have a nice little storefront. This used to be the Lutheran church back in the 1770s. See, there's even the old bell tower up there. Now, one thing I read the other day, this used to be mostly a Protestant town, and somewhere along the way they went over to Calvinism. And the Calvinisms were really big on their witch hunts back then. And somewhere in a several hundred-year time period, over 400 people were executed here in this town as being witches. That's a lot for a small town like this. And I imagine most of them were just burned at the stake. But I don't know. Here's another one here from 1609. There's another building regoing renovation. So here's another one from the early 1700s. I remember a lawyer used to be in here. Yeah, 1703 is when they built this one. And I have no idea what that says up there because it's in Latin. Now we're getting up to the palace grounds. This is the farm complex for them. There's a lot of different stuff in here. Yeah, these are stalls in here. So now we're coming up to the palace. There's a lion there. Looks like it could have been a wild boar. This is one of the entrances. See, and that's all areas that we cannot get into, unfortunately. Pause. Okay, let's try this again. See there are the two carvings again farther off. It's another unused building. This was at one time, I don't know if it still is, a restaurant and hotel. So let's take a walk out the backside there and see what we see. There's a little carving from 1615, and that sign is where you can, if you're staying at the hotel, where they serve breakfast. So we're actually outside of the palace area, and now you can see they're doing renovation work here also. And it probably needs it because it looks like all the plaster on the outside has fallen off. That's the gardens. I don't know what this building is. Oh, yeah, it looks like the old brewery. I'll walk over there in a minute. Well, it used to be you could go out here into the gardens, but not anymore. They got everything locked up and chained up, probably because people were just being dumbasses and destroying stuff. Okay, here we have a well. I guess maybe that was part of the brewery system here. I don't know how deep it is, but I can't see that there's water in there. It's another shot of the palace, or the backside of everything. Here we go back a shot into town. That's where some of it we've already seen, some of it we're going to go by. There's the big church we were at last week. And this is the old brewery here. Okay, it says there Brauhaus. That's where they brewed their beer at. So, here we have a few more houses. We just came out of the palace. Oh, this is a nice looking one here. Part of it is in the red sandstone, and the rest of it is in gingerbread style. Oh, I see something writing on there. Hold on, let me go see what it says. So this is where the head chef of the kitchens where the palace lived at back in the 1800s. There we go. Nice little place.